Hello everyone, welcome to Crazy Geeks and it's me Roshan Shrestha. On today's session we'll be talking about class and object in general. That is, we'll be inclined towards OP, object-oriented programming. Object-oriented programming. Now let's start with what is class. Class is nothing but just a normal program segment where we'll be populating various informations we need to process in well-managed way. Talking about class, it's more like building a skeleton where we'll be filling up something afterwards, but in general class doesn't contain those filled up materials. It's normally more like unfilled skeleton where we provide the place and parts where we can pass the information, where we can fill various materials afterwards. It's also considered or defined as blueprint for object. What does it mean by blueprint for object? Or more than that, what is object? As I told you guys at the beginning, we'll solely moving around the concept of this class and object. Let's create a scenario or requirement, let's say. We need to handle the information of a student. Student's information comprises of something like name, age, corresponding address, roll number, etc. It can be anything. Let's say there is one student named as Ram, is 22, is from Kathmandu, then roll number is 22. There could be another person like Sita, 21, from Viratnagar, is let's say 21. Another one could be Ari, 20 years aged, from let's say Pokhara, and age could be something, let's say 23. We need to handle this particular scenario. This is name, age, address, roll number. You can keep on adding other information as well. We need to handle it using the concept of class and object. Now class is also considered as a user defined data type. That is something which user that is the programmer can create according to their requirement, let's say. I'm sure this particular statement is not making much sense at the moment, but it will eventually clarify your concept afterwards, on which I'm very much helpful. Let's try to handle this particular scenario. Now some of the process where we can write this is we can generally follow the POP pattern. That is the concept of functional programming. But that pattern is not under the scope of this particular video. So now let's try to look upon the syntax of class, or how class is defined. We use the keyword class, then class name, then you define the members here. Let's try to handle this particular scenario here. I'm writing the keyword class, then class name means, let's say I need to handle the information of student, so I'm opting for the name student, class student. Now inside the class there is access specifiers or modifiers we need to use. If we need to provide the access, or you need to open the access, then we use public access specifier. Under public, let's say there are various informations you need to handle. Let's declare the data members. string name and address. Then there is integer is, and let's say roll number. Now up to this point there shouldn't be any problem. We have created a class named as student. Under public there is name, address, age, and roll number data members. Now let's try to access, or let's say set the values like name equals RAM, then age equals what, 22, address equals Kathmandu. Let's compile this program. Wow, there is some problem. Age, address, KTM, etc. was not declared in this scope. Whoa, I have done one silly mistake. This is a string, so let's try to play it fairly. Age, address, name was not declared in this scope. That is, it's not defined in this particular scope. It's because whatever information are inside the class couldn't be accessed directly from outside the class. In order to access those information, you need to create an object. Object means variable of class. Student is the name of the class. Then we are creating one object. Let's say SOBJ is the name of the object. Our class is student. Object name is SOBJ. Object means variable of class or instance of class. Now in order to set the value, you need to write something like what, SOBJ object dot whatever information you need to play around with. Similarly, SOBJ dot age equals this much, and SOBJ dot address equals KTM. Let's try to build around this program. Okay, wonderful. Okay, up to this point we are creating a class named as student. Then under public there are some data members of different data types. You can keep on adding other members as well. Inside main we are creating an object of class named as student. Object means variable of class or instance of class. Now for this particular instance, the name is RAM, age is 22, and address is KTM. Let's try to display this content. Character out, name is what, SOBJ dot name. Similarly, we can display age is SOBJ dot age, and address is SOBJ dot address. Now let's try to build and run this program. The output will be something like name is RAM, age is 22, and address is KTM. Up to this point I guess there is no problem whatsoever. We have talked about only two concepts. Our class name is student. There is opening and closing curly braces followed by the semicolon. This block implies the class definition is complete soon after meeting the semicolon. Then inside the class we are populating the variables as per our requirement. These are termed as data members. Now we have created one object. Object means variable of class. We can create any number of objects. I've told you guys earlier, I will try to look upon various ideas related with class and object on this particular OOP series. Now up to this point there is no problem whatsoever. Now let's try to handle the information related with Sita. or another student. Let me copy and paste this one. Sita, 21 years aged, from, let's say, Viratnagar. And if I execute this particular program, what is going to be the output of these particular statements? Name is this much, age is this much, and address is this much. Here we are setting the value of name is Ram, age is 22, address is KTM. Now if we update the value of name to Sita, then it will replace the name Ram. Now the information related with student Ram is totally lost, which is not good in this particular context because we need to handle the information of students. Now what's the solution in this case? One solution could be something like declaring the variables again as name1, address 1. It's quite funny doing this way, but anyway, I'm carrying out this approach to display how it works. Num1 is 1, address 1. Now you need to do something like this one. Name1 is 1, address 1. It doesn't look that much good, but I'm writing this program just for the sake of demonstration purpose. Here one object, multiple variables, that is the data members. I am setting certain values to those variables. Name is Ram 22, Sita 21, and so on. In order to handle the information of, let's say, 5 more students, then we have to keep on declaring these variables, which is pretty much insane. This is not a good way to carry on. Now what's the good way to carry on? If we keep on updating the value, then only the latest value is going to be available at our access, which is also problematic. In those scenarios, we need to create multiple instances of this particular class. At one instance, it should be related with Ram. On another instance, it should be related with Sita, and so on. That particular instance is object. Now we can create any number of objects as per our requirement. Let's say obj2 is our second object. Now we can relate obj2 here. Awesome. Now we can write something like that. obj2.name, obj2.age, and obj2.address, and so on. Not name1, it's name. It was from the previous program. Okay. Now we are creating 2 objects, and we can set any number of information as per our requirement and displaying those contents. It's working now. Let me do one more thing. Let me create another object as well. Yes, obj3. That is going to be the information related with some other student named as Zari or something else. Alright, then let's say 20 from where? He's from Dictel. Now let me copy and paste this one. This is yes obj3.name, yes obj3.age and address. Okay, information related with Ram or I don't know what's the problem here. Wow, this is not related with object 2. This is object 3. Okay, now I guess we're good to go now. Ram, Sita, and Ari. Let's try to look upon what's happening here. One class containing the information. Inside main block, we are creating multiple objects and setting the information associated with those objects. Here, this student class is not doing many more things. It's just acting as some place where informations are being provided. It's more like a skeleton where the materials are being filled from another block using the object. That's why object-oriented programming. That is, we try to play around from the perspective of object. Now let me do one thing. What will happen if we need to handle the information of, let's say, many more students, or let's say we need to take user input. If we need to take user input, we can write something like cout enter name is and address of your student or some student, right? Sheen. What about writing this one? Should work, right? Let me place it here. Is and address. Okay, at first it should ask for name as an address of one student, then we are manually setting the values from the program itself. Enter name as an address of a student. Test is the name 21 and 88. Okay, student name can be anything. Student 1. Yeah, we can play around it any way we prefer. Now let's say let's change this program a bit. I want to provide all the information of all the 3 students from user 1, 2 and 3. I'm removing this one. This one is associated with the object. Oh, this one is related with object 2. Second one, object 2, object 2 dot address. Then on this part, this is related with object 3. Now test. Okay, straight 1. Then another one is tester 22 and straight 2. Another one is, let's say, tested 23 and straight 3. Okay, so far so good. We're able to input our information and achieve the required output from our program. Now this creation of object, there are many more objects and it's appearing more like repetitive coding or redundant coding. What will happen if we create array of these objects? Nothing will happen. It will probably make the program much more easier. That's it. We are declaring array of object of class student. There's going to be, let's say, 3 members. Yes, obj 0, 1 and 2. That is first index of array is, as you know, 0th index. It navigates from 0 to n-1th index. Now let's try to handle it this way. We'll obviously need looping to handle this one. Now let me place this content inside this for loop, and this one name is an address. I run it. This one for output, I'll be writing something like from 0 to 2, name is this much, age is this much, and address is this much. Okay. Now instead of obj.name, what we need to write is obj and index I. Obj I.age. Similarly, we need to introduce the index of our array. Let me remove this one. Now it makes the program much cleaner. We're creating an array of object of class student. What's happening here? Oh, no, not is I. Is not the name of array. Yes, obj is the name of the array of our object, not address I. We need to write obj I. Hopefully it will compile now. Enter name as an address. Now whatever information you are providing, let's say test 21 and street 1, test 1, 23 and let's say try 1, and tested 1, 24 and YRT1. Your test is associated with object 0 dot name. Now test 21 and st1 are associated with object 0. Test 1, 23 and try 1 are associated with object 1, that is second element of array, that is second object, and on our final object tested 1, 24 and YRT1. Okay, so far so good. It looks workable for now. Now let's try to move more towards the handling of these informations inside the class. In order to handle that, let's try to create the methods inside the class, because the class normally plays around with data members and member functions. For that, we will be creating one user-defined method or user-defined function. You can change those terms almost interchangeably. Now data handler is the name of our method. I want to place these contents inside this particular block. Now we don't need the presence of object here. Now we are taking input of name as an address, and similarly is something like this stuff is being handled or carried out. I don't know what sort of program it's turning out to be, but let's believe it will be ultimately be helpful on our cause or target of learning about class and object. Now we don't need object for sure. We don't need local variable declared here now. We need to provide the declaration part here. Here inside class there is data member and member function. Now we need to call yes obj dot, we have a method named as data handler. I don't know why in this sense is not working. Now it should go there and carry out the operation as per our expectation. Name test 22 ERT1, I don't know what is ERT, test 1, 23 YRT, and tested 20, let's say 25 and T straight 1. In input part there is no problem, we are able to enter the information as per our requirement. But what is happening here? Name is tested, age is 25, address is T street 1. This is our problem, because what are these informations? Test 1 and all these. Oh, now we are definitely running into some trouble for now, because all these informations are lost. Only the latest information is being handled by our program, which is not good. Now what is our requirement? Our requirement is we need to treat these informations on some well managed manner so that the information is not lost. What will happen if I remove this one as well as this particular loop and this one as well? Enter name as an address of student, taking the input and displaying the output. One way will be this one. If I make the same function call 3 times in a row, it can work to some extent, I guess. Test 22 and straight 1. Good one. Again, tester 24. Let's say T4. Name is tester is 24, address is T4, and so on. Tested, and let's say 31 and UI 4. The only problem here is we are able to view the output here just because we have populated the information regarding the displaying information inside the same method. What will happen if we make one display method and populate those contents here? Now things will be pretty much different, I guess. There are some variables, then we have some member functions, data handler and display. Inside main there is data handler, then we can make a function call to, let's say, display, then there is data handler. Let's try copying and pasting these particular lines. Yes, obj is the object we have just created. Then let's write test 22 straight 1. Display name is test, age is 22, address is street 1. Now test 1 23 and what, street 2. The only problem is if by any chance you need to access this information, this is already lost because you are updating the same variables time and again. For this scenario, what you'll be doing is you will be creating another instance of this particular class. For that, we can handle it using what? Creation of new object. Let's create 2 objects. Yes, obj and yes, obj1. Then for second one, you can write this one. Now you have 2 objects and both objects are working on handling the information in the preferred way. Test is one information. Name is this much, blah blah blah. Then there is something tester 22 via T2. Now if you write something like, let's say, yes, obj dot display, then on this particular part you will be able to access the information whatever you have provided here earlier. Now your information is intact. Tester 22 YRT, then tested what is this, is 23 ERT1, and for this, to this particular function called sobj.display, you are able to access the information that was associated with object sobj. This is the reason objects are termed as variable of class or instance of class. When we look up in class, it appears as blueprint for object. You have written the definition of class, which comprises of what? Some data members and some member functions. From the main block, you are creating the object. And one more thing, class do not have any meaning at all until and unless you are creating the object, because all the processings or informations or allocations that need to be carried out is taking place only after the creation of the object. Let's say if we remove these statements and normally, let's say, execute this one, nothing is going on behind the scene, because solely writing the definition of class doesn't do anything. To make it short, the simple concept is class is an entity that is capable of holding data and function together. And just to be clear, on this particular session, I didn't enter much into the concepts of OOP. I normally wanted to show you how class and object functions are, how we can play around with class and object. There is various missing informations on this particular program because there are other access specifiers as well, like the private access specifier, because in normal scenario all the information, that is data members, are populated inside or under the private access specifier. On our upcoming videos, I'll be talking about why we need to place these informations inside private. For now, I'll be leaving it as it is. I hope you guys now are able to create the definition of your class. That is, I believe you will be able to create your class, then carry out the operation as per requirement. Let me write one final program that should be able to demonstrate the class and object concept on some cool way. Let's say you need to add two numbers. For addition, you're writing class sum. Under public, declare let's say normally define one method named as void add. I'm going on with the declaration of the variables inside public. Normally we need to play around with the private access specifier for handling this one, but I'm least bothered about that right now. Enter two numbers, then line break in x y, z equals x plus y, out. Wow, sum is value of z. This is the definition we've written about our class. We have defined our class. These are data members, this is our member function. Now we need to create an object. let's say yes is the object name, then object dot method, just that. This is how you write your program. 22, 33, 755. Okay, I'll be catching you guys in next video with the continuation of these concepts. And if you are a bit worried about the approach of object-oriented programming, then also nothing to worry about. We'll be catching up and mixing up these concepts on the upcoming videos. If you don't have still subscribed this particular channel, make sure to subscribe and share with your near and dear ones. I'll be catching you guys in the next video with some more interesting stuff, which is going to be obviously the continuation of all these stuffs we have created right now. Thank you very much for your time. Meet you next time. Take care.